Back on the SportsMax zone, Jamaica's Natoya Goule was the only English-speaking Caribbean winner at Friday's Wanda Diamond League meet in Brussels, Belgium. Goule, an Olympic finalist you might remember, won the 800 meters in a time of 1 minute 58.09 seconds. However, most attention was focused on the women's 200 meters, where Sha'Carri Richardson was set to contest her first race since a last-place finish over 100 meters at the Eugene Diamond League meet on the 21st of August. Richardson finished fourth in 22.45 seconds as the Olympic silver medalist, the 18-year-old Namibian Christine Mboma, secured top spot in 21.84. Shericka Jackson of Jamaica was second in 21.95, and Dina Asher-Smith of Great Britain finished in third spot. And our senior writer at SportsMax.tv, Leighton Levy, now joins us to recap today's action. Can we start with Natoya Goule's victory, though, because it was a good one, and there was a comment at the end of the race. Where was that performance in Tokyo?
There you go. It was the most mature performance I've seen from her in a while, because this is how she should have run in Tokyo, as you alluded to. She ran, the pace setter set the right pace. Then she went out front and stayed well within herself, just to ensure that she was boxed in, and then of course had a lot to come home. Was unable to be caught by the two British runners coming on from behind. This was a mature performance, and it shows that she has the ability to do this. But the problem is that when it comes to the major championships, she seems to panic a little bit. It's not extraordinary that these kind of things happen. But today's performance certainly is a good indicator for her, and of course should give her confidence going into Zurich, and of course hopefully going into the next year where the World Championships are going to be held in Oregon.
Yeah, you know what? She has always been a fierce competitor. Do you suspect, though, that, which is something she can't do anything about, her size? She's very small, very, very small. She is the smallest top-class 800-meter runner at the moment. Does that work against her? She's like 5'2", I think, and about 110 pounds.
5'1", I don't think so. And here's why. When you look at Natoya's personal best time, it's 1:56.15. That's faster than anything that any of these ladies have ever run. And in fact, if she had run that time at the Olympics, she probably would have finished fourth. The thing is that she's capable of going faster. What her problem has been, it seems to me, is that she oftentimes forgets her or totally throws her game strategy out the window once the race begins, and she's somehow unable to adjust. If the strategy requires an adjustment inside the race, she doesn't quite know what to do. This is just an assumption that I'm making here based on what I've seen her do over the years. Of course, in the Olympic finals, she got to the finals by winning both her heat and her semifinal, and then in the final made a tragic mistake of going after a woman who's run 49.5 and then burned up down the stretch. Had she run a more controlled race, I suspect that she would have run 1:55 and probably ended up among the medals. So I think it's more, you like those kids who are pretty good in class, and then when it comes to an exam, they tend to freeze a little bit. I think that's probably part of the issue with Natoya.
Leighton, I feel as if I want to move across now to the spicy 200 meter that took place earlier today. And of course, congratulations to Mboma. Were you surprised with the win?
No, if you go back to the conversation that we had earlier this week, I did indicate that she was a possible winner because she was the fastest in that field on paper. And based on what we saw her do at the Olympics, and of course, whenever she's run, she's always come off the pace and then run past the field. Shericka Jackson had a good start up to 1:50. She was comfortably in the lead. And then she started to tighten up a little bit, maybe because of fatigue, maybe because of poor execution in the last 50 meters. But Mboma, as expected, stormed through the field and, of course, caught her late and won comfortably. 21.84 to 21.95. It is quite a considerable distance in the sprints. So I'm not really surprised that Mboma won this, and I think Shericka ran well. But this girl, Mboma, regardless of the controversies that surround her performances, is a talented sprinter.
Definitely, and of course this is the fourth time for 2021 that she's clocked sub 22, and many people believe that we're expecting a lot more from her when she participates or competes in the 200 meters moving forward?
Yeah, well, look, once she learns to run the curve well, I think she'll run a lot faster. She usually sits off the pace and then runs home because she doesn't run the first 100 meters very well. She doesn't run the curve very well. So once she gets those things sorted out, because her basic speed, I don't think is where it is comparable to like a Shericka Jackson or a Sha'Carri Richardson in terms of her flat speed. But she has a lot of power and speed endurance, and that is what serves her well coming home.
Yeah, Leighton, she can't run the 400 meters based on, of course, the rules surrounding DSD athletes. Do you see her eventually stepping down to the 100 meter and putting up a fight there?
No, I think the 200 is where she's going to be. And of course, again, her performances continue to throw mud in the face of the World Athletics executive because they said she could not run the 400 because she has this specific advantage of speed and strength over other women because of her naturally elevated levels of testosterone. The 200 is quite similar to the 400. It's only halfway the distance, but it still requires strength and speed endurance. And that's what she's been demonstrating. So it just goes to show that I really don't think that the scientists at World Athletics have put up, have a clear understanding of how elevated levels of testosterone works. Because similarly, we saw the same thing with Neon Saba today. She was moved up from the 800 meters to the 5,000, and she ran the fourth fastest time in history today. So you see, it's clear that they don't know what they're talking about, in my mind, because these athletes, Mboma, Masalingi, and of course Neon Saba, are proving that that what they think should happen does not happen, regardless of where they put them.
And Leighton, of course, Sha'Carri continues to be all talk on social media and no performance. Today when the race, of course, when it was completed, I went on to social media just to check to see what's happening. I saw a tweet about, okay, so if we had included Elaine and Shelley in this one, she would have been 6. So basically, she's not even 4th.
Listen, Sha'Carri Richardson talks a good game, and of course, she brings a lot of eyes and a lot of attention to the sport, which is good. But she's going to have to be able to back things up. A couple of things are becoming clear. She's traveled abroad twice now this year. And in both races, she's underperformed. But underperformed based on what we expect of her. Because she's run 10.72, she's run 10.77, she's run 10.75. Nobody doubts her ability to run fast. However, it seems, two things seem clear to me now, and it becomes increasingly clearer each time she runs, especially when she's up against an international field. Is that one, she does not travel well. Two, whenever she's in a field of athletes who are comparable in speed, she either is unable to bring her best efforts forward or she just simply panics because today she was, remember I said on, when was it, Wednesday when I was on, that she had to be competitive. She wasn't even close to being competitive again today. She came off the curve for somebody with 10.7 speed and as Justin Gatlin claims, 10.5 speed. She came off the curve second or third, I think it was. And then, of course, was run past by Mboma on her way to the gold medal. And of course, the further the race went, the further behind she fell. That analogy I used earlier about Natoya Goule, about the good student who somehow freezes when it comes to exam time. This is another example from Sha'Carri Richardson. She does not seem able to bring herself to challenge the fastest and the best women in the world. At home in the United States against her own country, our countrywomen, fine, she can talk a lot of bluster and back it up and beat them because clearly she knows she has the measure of them. When it comes to the rest of the world, however, it's a completely different dynamic and she does not seem to know how to handle that.
Yeah, I think there was a hint pre-race coming from her on the eve of the event, though, that the 200 not being her best, she suggested having not gone below 22 seconds before and racing against people who had gone 22 seconds before. That was in some way, for me, setting us up for a failure in the Brussels 200 meters. But there were, Leighton, some podium finishes for some Caribbean performers. Kirani James in the 400 meters, Michael Cherry looking very impressive down the home stretch, but Kirani, a solid second place finish there.
Absolutely, and it's right within the bench, the area of where he's been running all season long. 44.5s, 44.6s. He's clearly not the Kirani James that we saw in 2016 and in 2012. Of course, older now, but he's not past the age. He's what, 29 now? He's not at a place where he should be falling off the pace as far as he has. I think that's a consequence, I think, of the medical condition that he's had to be dealing with, and the whole dynamic of probably changing so many things in his program. But he's still a consistent runner, just not the elite runner that we are used to seeing. And of course, this is not to denigrate anything that he's done, because he's been extraordinary for the entire length of his career. It's just that right now he's falling behind the field of the elite runners in the 400 meters.
Yeah, he certainly has. But as you just referred to, he did, battle Graves' disease and so on, and injuries. So gold medalist, silver medalist, bronze medalist at the Olympic Games, Kirana James has already written his name indelibly into the record books. The BVI's Kyron McMaster was up against Dos Santos in the 400 hurdles today. Run a stout race. He was very close to getting the win coming down the home stretch, but Dos Santos was stronger at the end.
Yeah, look, I said it earlier this year. I think he used to be the number 3 400-meter hurdler in the world, or number 4, sorry. He's fallen on that pecking order now to Dos Santos, who's come through and become the number 4 guy, and right now the number 3 guy, because Abdurrahman Samba has fallen down the pecking order as well. It looked today like Karen was going to challenge him down the stretch, and he did. But invariably, the Brazilian found what was necessary to win. And I think this is going to be one of the rivalries in the 400-meter hurdles. There's going to be 2 different races, I think, in the years to come, or maybe 3 different races, where you will see Rai Benjamin and, of course, Barholm do their thing for the top 2 spots. And then, of course, 3rd, 4th, and 5th will be between Samba, Karen McMaster, and, of course, Alison Dos Santos. And right now, Dos Santos looks like the man to beat. He's 21 years old, and he only seems to be getting better each year. So the likes of Karen and, of course, Samba will have to step up next year, especially the next 3 years being championship years. They're going to have to pull something out of the hat to be able to get the better of the Brazilian.
Yeah, and the little powerhouse from Jamaica, Megan Tapper, in the sprint hurdles, 3rd in Tokyo, and she was in that same spot today.
Yeah, and of course, a 2nd, 3rd place finish in the Diamond League. I said to her last week, and she laughed. I said, you're now competing like you belong. And you saw that again today. She was actually leading this race before Daniel Williams caught her, and then Daniel picked up that injury and then stopped, and of course then passed by Visser and Amusan. But what you see from Megan Tapper now is somebody who is competing. That bronze medal at the Olympics has given her an extra fillip, and she's now believing that she's able to run with the best in the world. And you saw that today. They're going to have to run to beat her. She's not going to give them any races anymore. And it was another brave performance from her. And of course, you have to applaud her and her team for getting her to this level right now, where she's competing consistently well on the global stage.
Oh, Leighton, as usual, always great talking to you on the SportsMax Zone. We'll be in touch.
Yeah, man. Take it easy, guys. Have enjoyed your weekend.
Yeah, we will.
We'll be working.
We go to break. We go to break. Back with more of the Zone after this.